And when I was laying down, about to do the devil's tango with this girl, out of nowhere, she ends up jumping on my back with nothing on, and she basically broke my back. That was the first time a girl's ever broken my back, and it gets insane. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. Now, this story all takes place back in my grade 9 year. Now, in grade 9, I was kind of an innocent person, but at the same time, still a player. But I was still more of a hopeless romantic, but we'll get into that another day. I remember back in my grade 9 year, though, there was a time where I was swiping on this app called Tinder. Now, this video isn't sponsored by Tinder, but hey, Tinder, if you ever want to sponsor me, go for it. But I remember basically I was going through the app and basically swiping left and right on some girls. I think everyone has used a dating app before. It's nothing new. And honestly, knowing how many dating apps are out there now compared to back when I was in high school, it's a very normal thing to do. So as I'm laying in my bed, just basically swiping through, out of nowhere, I end up swiping right on this girl that was actually pretty attractive and surprisingly recognizable. I didn't know where I recognized her from, but honestly, one thing was for sure, she was definitely pretty attractive. But out of nowhere, as I swiped right on her, I realized that she also swiped right on me, and we ended up making a match. Right away, when I get a match on Tinder, I start to message instantly. Usually I say some sort of joke or some sort of pickup line that makes them kind of want to answer, to figure out why in the world would a guy say this. So as I sent her a pretty funny message, she ended up replying to me back right away, and me and her started talking. We started talking about life and stuff, and then she ended up bringing up school, and that's when I realized me and her went to the exact same school, except she was in grade 12 and I was in grade 9. Now, I don't know about you, but that seems kind of off and felt really weird, but at the same time, do I really care? No, I did not. To be honest, me being in grade 9, I really had no standards, so I really just did not care whatsoever. But going on with the story, I remember I ended up messaging this girl even more and more, to the point where me and her decided it'd be cool to go on an actual date. So me being super excited, I remember the next day at school, I actually kind of kept an eye out to see if I would see this girl actually inside my school. So as I'm walking down the hallways, going from class to class, I ended up seeing the girl, funny enough, at her locker that I surprisingly passed every single day. When I saw her, I was debating on walking up to her, but right as I looked at her and she looked at me, she instantly realized that it was me and did not say anything. So I decided to walk up to her just to make it less awkward. And when I looked at her, I said, "Hey, like, what you up to?" "Oh, so you're Bubba in the flesh." Yeah, I guess it's finally actually good to properly meet you. It's crazy that we went to the same school the entire time and we never actually talked. Well, I mean, like, I knew, like, you went to my school, but, like, I didn't, like, know, like, you personally, you know what I mean? Like, you're always talked about. I mean, hopefully good things. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously. And then from there, I ended up saying goodbye because obviously I had to get to my next class, and she ended up leaving, and we decided to meet up after school for our date. Now, after school came around, I want to say like 6 hours later, because that's usually how long a school day is. And when I went to the front of the school after it ended, I remember I was waiting for her for around 20 minutes. I don't know why she took so long. I don't know if she was doing her makeup or something, but she was definitely up to something that really made me question why it would take her 20 whole minutes just to meet up with me. But then finally, after 20 minutes, I ended up seeing her walk up to me, and she did actually do her makeup, and she did look really good, to the point where I said, "Oh, finally, I thought you were gonna ditch me." "Oh, what? No, sorry. I just had a lot going on, and I'm actually kind of nervous." "What? Why are you nervous?" "Well, I don't know what it is, but every time I go on a date with someone, it always ends bad. Like, I don't understand why." "It always ends bad? Wait, what do you mean?" She didn't end up saying anything afterwards, and just kind of giggled and walked with me to the place we were gonna go on our date. So as me and her were walking there, I really started to question what this girl was talking about. But right as I thought things couldn't get worse, well, they kind of did. Because I remember, as me and her were walking together, I ended up noticing a lot of bruises around her body. Now, I started to somewhat worry because I don't really know how she got all those bruises. I don't know if she played sports. I didn't want to question anything. But when I looked at her, I decided to ask her the questions to kind of see if I could figure it out. So I looked at her and I asked her, "Oh, like, I'm just wondering, do you play any sports?" "What? Oh, no, I don't play sports. It's not really for me." "Oh, okay. Well, the reason, like, I'm wondering is because, like, I see all the bruises on your body. Like, what's that about?" "Oh, these? Don't worry about it. You'll find out later." "Wait, what? What do you mean by later?" Now, at this point, I was severely worried because the fact that she said, "I'll find out later," really made me think, okay, either this girl's gonna hurt me or she's really badly gonna hurt me. And what did she do? Well, keep listening because you guys will realize how badly this girl made me hurt. Because I remember during the day, we ended up eating dinner. We had a good time. Things were going swell until we decided to go back to her place. Because I remember she looks at me after dinner as we're walking out the doors of the restaurant, and she says to me, "Oh, like, do you want to, like, come over, you know, and put the date to like a proper end? Yeah, sure, I'm down. Okay, sweet. Here, follow me. So at this point, we ended up basically walking down to her house, which she lived like 20 minutes away. And when we finally got there, me and her, we entered inside her bedroom, and this is where she gave me the crazy warning. She legit looks at me and says, okay, I just want to let you know I'm kind of rough. What do you mean you're rough? Well, like, I like doing things a certain way to see if you can really handle me. It's like the ultimate test. The ultimate test to see if I can handle you. Okay, what is it? Here, take off everything and lay down on my bed. At this moment, I actually started to panic. I had no idea what this girl was trying to do or make me do, in fact, but I ended up just listening to what she said because, well, I was on a date. Why really question it? So as I'm laying down on her bed with nothing on, thinking that me and this girl are about to do the devil's tango, out of nowhere, I ended up seeing this girl basically jumping onto me with nothing on, and she landed on my back in the most painful way possible. It was like she was trying to RKO me in the WWE. Like, it was really, really bad to the point where I looked at her and I went, ow, wait, what are you doing? At this moment, the girl gets off me and stands on the side of the bed, and she says, wait, what's wrong? You can't handle me? Can't handle you? You just jumped on me as if we were like wrestling. Well, yeah, I did say I liked it rough. What? At this moment, I'm not gonna lie, I already was not in the mood, and I did not want to do the devil's tango. So what I decided to do is basically get up and put on my boxers, and I looked at her and I'm like, listen, like, I'm not trying to fight. I'm just trying to have a good time. But if you're trying to like fight with someone, that's not really my style. Oh, I see. You can't handle me, is what she said right after. And at that moment, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I just left. There is no way I was gonna do a girl that just wanted to wrestle and fight. If that was the case, I would have became a wrestler. Wait, actually, no. Wrestlers fight with dudes. You know what? Never mind. Going on, though, I remember I just got ready to leave, and the whole time when I was basically getting my clothes on and preparing to leave, she just kept basically making fun of me. She kept making fun of me about how I'll never do the devil's tango the way she likes it, and how, you know, she's always gonna be just stronger than me, and how she was gonna tell all my friends that I couldn't handle her. All this baloney that I really just did not care about. I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I don't like hurting the women I decide to do the devil's tango with. So I remember I basically ended up leaving, but right as I'm about to literally get out the door, and this is where things just totally ruined everything. Ruined my entire night. I take a step out of her front door. I go down one step of her front porch, and right away, this girl thought it would be a funny idea to push me. She ends up pushing me down the stairs, and this was like only like a 4-step staircase, by the way. And right away, my back landed on one of the corners of the stairs in the middle of my spine, and at that moment, I started to yell and cry because I swear I thought my back was broken. This girl legit broke my back. So as I'm laying there crying, I remember one of her parents ended up coming out of the room wondering why there was a boy literally on the front staircase just laying there in pain. And that's when 911 was called, and I went to the ambulance and I had to go get checked out in the hospital. Since that day, I remember me and this girl, we made a promise to each other that I wouldn't tell anyone she pushed me down the stairs if she didn't tell anyone that I didn't want to do the devil's tango the way she likes it, rough, as she would put it. And yeah, since that day, I've always kept a secret until now. I don't know about you guys, but do you guys think it was fair what she did? Because if not, then fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys. I remember when me and my girlfriend were at the movie theater, she ended up telling me, wait, Bubba, you're actually gonna pay to go inside the movie? Yeah. What, are we not supposed to? Here, just follow me. She ends up taking me around to a back exit, and that's when cops all of a sudden appeared, and I got arrested. Honestly, this girl always put my life in danger. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another really embarrassing, but I gotta say crazy story. So today's story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 11 year. Now, in grade 11, I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't have the best choices in women. As you guys may know, I tell a lot of stories on this channel, and yes, a lot of these women were not perfect 10 out of 10s. And if they were 10 out of 10s, well, there was always something crazy or weird about them. But this one specific time, I remember I actually ended up finding a girl in my school that was actually really attractive. I didn't really know much about her, and she seemed to be an exchange student from a different country. When I walked up to her, I remember I asked her saying, hey, like, do you go to the school? I've actually never seen you before. Oh, yeah, I recently just came here from a different country. I'm sorry, who are you? Oh, hi, I'm Bubba. Nice to meet you. And me and her, we ended up shaking hands, and well, I actually ended up getting her number later on that day. I remember me and her, we always ended up texting on the phone, calling each other, and it got to the point where I actually really liked this girl. And she was actually really attractive, attractive and nothing seemed to be really off with her. So that's when I actually decided to finally ask her out. I ended up going on my phone, giving her a call, which was kind of corny, not gonna lie, but I ended up just saying to her over the phone, hey, so I'm not gonna lie, like we've been talking for a while and I thought maybe, hey, like can I maybe take you out for some dinner? Huh? You want to go for dinner? Sure, I'm down. Where do you want to go? I remember after school the next day came around and I basically ended up getting inside my car and she ended up coming inside the car with me. And we ended up driving around the city, just having a good time until she said, oh, let's go to that restaurant. She ended up pointing at a restaurant that was actually super expensive and I knew I could not afford. But I didn't want to embarrass myself on the first date, so I just said, why not? Luckily, I had my dad's credit card that time with me and I forgot to give it back to him, so I just thought I could put it on his card. So I ended up basically going to the restaurant with her and we ended up getting sat down, and I'm not gonna lie, we literally were just two high school kids going into a super fancy restaurant that was full of people wearing suits and dresses, and me wearing jeans and a hoodie. Well, I'm not gonna lie, it didn't look really good and the servers were definitely not impressed. Going on though, I remember we sat down and we ended up eating food, and I'm not gonna lie, the food was delicious. But when it came time to pay, I remember the server ended up putting the bill on the table, and when I picked it up, I saw the bill was worth over $200. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, that was the most expensive bill I've ever seen for two people going to a restaurant. And especially me being in high school, there was no way I could afford it. Right as I was about to pull out my wallet and pull out my dad's credit card, out of nowhere, I ended up looking at her and she said to me, Bubba, what are you doing? About to pay the bill? What? You're actually gonna pay that? There's no way. Here, go to the bathroom, but then as you're walking towards the bathroom, just leave. Wait, what? You want me not pay for it? Yeah, don't worry, you'll be totally fine. I do it all the time back at home. I remember I looked at her and I couldn't tell if she was joking, but right as I was about to tell her it wasn't a good idea, she stood up and started basically heading towards the bathroom and left. Now me, I ended up sitting at the table alone and I thought, you know what, maybe I should just pay for it and be a good person. But then I saw her outside the window telling me to hurry up, and that's when I stood up and left. I actually ended up dining and dashing on the first date with this girl that I actually really liked. I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I just did what was told. I remember from there, we ended up getting into my car and I drove out of there as fast as I could. And I remember she ended up looking at me smiling saying, I can't believe you actually did that with me. No guy would usually have the guts to do that, but I'm happy you're different. Yeah, me too, is what I told her. And honestly, we ended up going back to her place and I'm not gonna lie, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. Now, I thought this would be a one-time thing. Not me obviously dating her and doing the Devil's Tango, but the one time we were gonna do something super sketchy. But let's just say the next day when I went to school, I remember I was about to exit one of my classrooms and head towards my locker. And my locker was near some guy that was a real jerk to everyone. Like, I am not joking. He was one of the biggest guys at school and he was just always bullying every other kid for some reason, as if he was trying to be the owner of everything. But I remember as I was just putting my stuff away and was somewhat near him, out of nowhere, my girlfriend at the time ends up running up to me and pushing me as hard as she could towards him. At that moment, my back ended up hitting him and basically he ended up dropping the cake that he got from the cafeteria. He looked over at me and said, bro, you just dropped my food. Are you gonna buy me another one? What? No, I'm not gonna buy you another one. But you're the reason I dropped it. At that moment, he ended up pushing me up against the locker and he started punching me in the stomach. Honestly, it hurt so bad. But then out of nowhere, my girlfriend started yelling for the teacher. And luckily, the teacher came in time. But still, I had a lot of bruises around my stomach that day. It really sucked. And honestly, I didn't even feel like eating lunch at that time. I remember I told my girlfriend to like be more careful afterwards. And she ended up telling me, oh, my bad. I thought you could take him. I didn't think it was gonna be anything that serious. Sure. Okay. At that moment, I didn't really know what to think, but honestly, things weren't looking so good. But I want to say what happens next, honestly, was really, really bad. Because I remember the same exact school day, around after school, I ended up seeing a bunch of people crowding around in the field, and I kept texting my girlfriend to see where she was. But then right as I look into the field and I saw what was going on, I saw that my girlfriend was fighting another girl, and there was a bunch of people just surrounding her watching it happen. I remember I ran through the barrier of people, and I basically ended up pulling the girl off my girlfriend that was fighting her. And I said, yo, guys, just stop fighting. But right as I say that, the other girl's boyfriend ends up walking towards me saying, hey, why'd you touch my girl, bro? And he ended up fighting me. And I ended up getting punched in the face and kicked onto the floor. Honestly, it hurt so much, but luckily a supervisor came around and stopped the whole thing from happening. But I will say this, that day I ended up getting bruises not only on my stomach, but also my face. I remember I went home from school that day and my mom looked at me and said, Bubba, what happened to you? Why are you bruised? bruises all over you. Did you get into a fight? Something like that, Mom, is what I told her. And she knew something was off about me, but at the same time, I guess moms always know if something's going wrong. Going on from there, I ended up texting my girlfriend afterwards when I got home and basically asked her what was the whole fight about in the first place and why did it happen? And she ended up telling me that the whole reason they ended up fighting was because apparently the other girl said that her accent sounded weird. At that moment, I ended up hitting my head against the wall thinking, bro, every time I've been around this girl, I'm always somehow put into danger. And I thought maybe, you know what? It's not worth it. Until I remember the next day at school, I remember my girlfriend walks up to me and she says, hey, Bubba, I know I put you into a lot of stress recently. And honestly, I was just wondering, how about tonight me and you just go on a nice movie date and we can watch one of your favorite superhero movies? At that moment, I was 100% down. I thought, hey, why not? Like the Avengers Civil War was coming out. This could be a good time for us to, you know, just hang out and just enjoy ourselves and go on a proper date. So I remember after school that day, me and her, we started heading towards the theater. And when we got there, I remember right as I was about to basically enter through the front door to get a ticket, she looks at me and says, wait, babe, what are you doing? I have to go inside and buy a ticket for both of us. Why? Oh, well, you don't have to. What do you mean I don't have to? At this moment, she ended up just telling me to follow her, and that's what I did. I ended up following her around the theater to the side of it, and there was a separate entrance that staff went through. I remember I looked at her and said, wait, you want to just go in? Well, yeah, we should have to pay for it, dummy. It's just a movie. Movies should be free. Like, we watch it at home for free all the time. Yeah, but like the whole point of a theater is to like enjoy the experience and pay for it. At that moment, I could tell she was getting annoyed with me, and I ended up just saying whatever. And right as me and her, we ended up walking through the staff entrance, right away, we ended up seeing cop cars pull up out of nowhere and saw me and her were there. And the cop ended up walking up to us saying, do you two work here? No, is what I said. And that's when I ended up getting arrested, and my girlfriend ended up running off just in time to get away. At that moment, I remember when I got arrested, I ended up getting driven all the way back home, and my mom saw I came in handcuffs, and she was really upset to the point where she told me to sit down with her and tell her what's going on. I didn't want to say that my girlfriend was the reason why I was doing all these bad things, but at the same time, when I told the full story to my mom of what was going on, she basically told me, Bubba, this girl's just putting you into danger every day. Just break up with her. She's not worth the trouble. Find a woman that's reasonable, that's, you know, has good morals. At that moment, my mom was right. And no matter what, even if I was a helpless romantic, this girl was definitely not the right person for me. I remember the next day at school, I basically avoided her the entire day. I tried to stay away from her. I didn't answer her texts. I didn't answer any of her calls. I just full on went ghost mode on her, which was not the smartest idea, don't get me wrong, but I just needed time to think about how I was gonna break up with this girl. Until I remember after school came around, and as I was walking up to my car, she was already standing right beside it, and she looked at me and said, hey, like, is everything okay? Like, I haven't talked to you all day. Like, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Just got a lot in my mind. Okay, well, do you want to talk about it and drive me home? Yeah, sure, I could do that. I remember she ended up getting in my car with me, and I remember I started driving her home, and I told her how basically every time I've hung out with her, I've gone to some serious danger. And that's when things really made her upset, because I remember she looked at me and she started yelling at me in the car, screaming at me, and I basically told her, okay, you know what? Maybe we should just break up then. Yeah, maybe it's for the better, but can I just have one more request? Yeah, sure. What's up? Do you want to come in maybe and just have one more time together? At that moment, I knew what she wanted, and I ended up going inside her house, and me and her, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango one last time. And afterwards, that was basically it. Me and her broke up. We never spoke to each other again because, well, I don't really want a girlfriend that puts me in danger all the time. But if you guys would date someone as crazy and dangerous, then just fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.